Hello and welcome. This is a presentation about the Hebrew letter LAMED. LAMED, which means ox goad. Now, ox goad, or something to prod an ox with. So it's something that will startle and sort of strike. And if you notice, the letter looks like a serpent ready to strike, a serpent raised up. And L, like la, when people la, it's when the tongue is erect. So it represents the ability to rise up so that one can strike. Now, if you understand that when humans came up off of all fours and started to walk, that's part of it. Okay? And it's also that which, when someone's in the striking position and they're ready to strike. So it doesn't mean snake. Teth means snake, but that's a snake more relaxed. But lamed is ox goad or a prod to like when they have it's like a taser. It'll strike and it'll cause some kind of pain so that something is prodded or moved forward or onward. So that's a very important message here. And lamed with the direct tongue, that is one of the most, according to Kabbalists, that is one of the most significant representations of the Creator in the Garden of Eden. Everything in the Garden of Eden represents the Creator. Nevertheless, when we're speaking about what is the majority, the largest share, the lion's share of the Creator, who's most like the Creator in the garden, it is the raised up serpent ready to strike, because that is that ability to raise up and become a human and stand up and walk and subdue and lord over the earth and the skies, the oceans, and now even outer space. So understand that. Everybody says the snake is evil, the evil inclination, but that's what makes humans different. It gave us consciousness. That's a very important Kabbalistic teaching. Because without the evil inclination of wanting to receive for the sake of the self, without that, without what they call the fall of man, there would not be any consciousness, because there wouldn't be any realization of self. Because the will to receive for the sake of the self gives you self-consciousness. Without that, how can you know you're enjoying anything? You'd be unconscious. Okay? So it's to bring us to consciousness and then go from there and have us become like God. Okay? Which was the sin of Lucifer, of course. But a sin is a tooth. Shin, sin, shin, same thing, means tooth. And it's also the Mesopotamian moon god. Okay? So to become as a god, and even Jesus said, you are gods, yeah? And they say big G, little g, but when you become into a certain understanding and awareness and consciousness and rise in the Kabbalistic worlds, then, and we'll talk about the worlds of the Kabbalah in a moment here, but then you can get the big G. And understand that we're all one, we're all like a big hologram of the same thing. Just like one cell has all the DNA of your whole body, same thing. One person has all the DNA of the entire universe and everything in it. And we have a reptilian brain. It's one of the most primary portions of our brain. Without it, you're not going to be able to live. So enough said about that. But this is a very important letter, Lamed. Okay. Now, Lamed is the 12th of 22 Hebrew letters, and is associated Kabbalistically with the justice card. The justice card. This is the jumbo rider weight deck. Okay, the justice card holding a sword and a balance in the hand. One hand a sword, one hand the scales to balance, and sits with a crown upon his or her head, because it's pretty much a man, but there's a hint in these cards that show it could also be a female. And the way it looks, it probably most likely is a female, because it looks like she has breasts, okay? And she has long hair. So it's probably a female, like a judge. Okay. So the Justice Tarot card is associated with the Hebrew letter LAMED. Now the Justice card is numbered as the 11th major arcana, where LAMED is the 12th Hebrew letter. But the Justice card is the 11th major arcana in many conventional decks. Now, Justice and Strength change position in different decks, number 8 and number 11. So in the Rider-Waite deck, Strength is 8 and Justice is 11. In some decks it's switched, but just suffice it to say that in many decks it's number 11. All right. Now LAMED is a diagonal path on the tree of life. Here we have the worlds of the Kabbalah, the tree of life, and you have the 10 Sephirah with the invisible 11th Sephirah of Da'ath, which means knowledge. Okay. Now, LAMED is a diagonal path which is located between the 5th Sephirah of Geburah, the red one that's ruled by Mars, or Mars is located in this Sephirah, Geburah, which means severity, Geburah in Hebrew, and is associated with the planet, again, Mars, Ma'adim in Hebrew, and the 6th Sephirah of Tiferet, or Tiferet, meaning beauty. Tiferet or Tiferet is Hebrew for beauty. And the diagonal path here is the Hebrew letter LAMED. It's the path of LAMED, okay? And the Tiferet corresponds with the sun or soul in Latin. The sun or soul in Latin. So Mars and the sun, and the path between them, the diagonal path in between them. All right? So again, this is a very important formula. These are formulas where you have Mars, and then you have LAMED being the path, and the sun. That's like a formula with which one could create medicines and talismans and tinctures and potions. And they're formulas. Some people call it magic, some people call it medicine, some people call it chemistry. It also can be used for psychology or even with physical matter. But what we're saying is gold and also iron are the alchemical metals and the medicine of metals. And so this is one formula, LAMED, and this path on the tree of life. Okay? Now, traditionally, the 22 major arcana of the tarot cards are each associated Cabalistically with a Hebrew letter, which in turn corresponds to one of the 12 zodiac signs and one of the 7 ancient planets, or one of the 3 elements also of fire, air, and water, with one card and letter overlapping, both pertaining to the element of earth and one of the planets. Okay, which we'll get to that. When we get to that, we'll tell you what that is. Now, LAMED, the Hebrew letter LAMED, is the 22nd path. So this is number 22. The 22nd path of the 32 Kabbalistic paths found in the Tree of Life. So there's 10 Sephirah, each of which is considered a path of types. It's where the energy is stalled. It's like a slower path. The energy doesn't stop there. It sort of collects and gathers there, but it's certainly not stalled. And it moves in and through this. It comes here. It can come here. It's a slower path. And these other paths in between, there are 22 of them, so 10 and 22 equals 32. Those are faster paths. And so the Hebrew letters are associated with each of these 22 faster paths. Okay? The planets are associated with each of the 10 Sephirah, including we have also the zodiac, and also the top one being just the crown chakra. Okay? So it starts being planets with Binah, where that's Saturn, okay? And notice Saturn is above Jupiter. And what we call God is associated with Jupiter. Jupiter. The god Jupiter, or Zeus for the Greeks. Jupiter for the Romans. And Saturn, or Kronos, is in Binah. This is Chesed and Binah. So this is mercy, and this is Binah here, is understanding. So Saturn is above Jupiter. So in other words, Hasatan is above God in Kabbalistic teachings. So these are the teachings that people would say, oh, that can't be true, but actually that's the way it is. If you study Kabbalah, you'll learn that. Now, I'm Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel, and I'm a Rosicrucian seer, biblical astrologer, Christian psychic, and Gnostic mystic. And this is a Readings by Rosemary angelic transmission. Now we're going to get into the Libra, the scales correspondences. So Libra, the scales, corresponds with the planet Venus. Beautiful planet Venus, which is associated with the color green. And Venus is here on the tree of life, okay? And the planetary archangel for Venus is Anael, which is also here, okay? And that's Netzach, which is associated with green and associated with the goddess Venus, Aphrodite. Also, and it means victory, because Netzach means victory in Hebrew. Now, the zodiac angel for Libra the scales is Zuriel. Zuriel. Okay? And the birthstone for Libra is the beautiful opal. Opal. Remember, LAMED is associated with the Justice card, Libra. Libra. LAMED. Libra. See? It's that ability to rise up and in striking position. Okay? Now, we're also going to let you know that if you want to make a talisman of some kind, either a rosary or a talisman, magical talisman, which are all based on the Kabbalah. And just in case you didn't think Catholics knew anything about Kabbalah, which I was brought up Catholic, but I was taught by friends that were Rosicrucian, but the Catholic Church is set up exactly like this, because you have outside the church, inside the church. You have the where you get your communion, like the barrier between you and the altar and the priests. There's a barrier. It's right here in Da'ath, the throat chakra, knowledge. They have the knowledge. Then you come up here and you have the priests and the person that sings and the priest, rabbis and the cantor do that too. Same thing. And then up here you have either a big picture of Jesus, and you have all that stuff that where they keep their things, and that's like in the synagogue. That's where the Torah scrolls are kept and all of that, or the Ark of the Covenant would be. Okay, so it's really a lot of similarity between the Hebrew and the Catholic. And if you notice, the Pope wears a little yarmulke on his head, so it's really not all that much difference. And Catholic means universal. That's right, it means universal. Okay, now the alchemical metal of Venus is beautiful copper. That's the Venusian metal for Netzach, for victory, for Venus, for Aphrodite is copper. Beautiful metal, because it turns green. Gets that patina on it, like the Statue of Liberty. It turns green. That's why. And there's a secret alchemical in the medicine of metals that copper, when in the monoatomics, which I've studied, and my husband and I have studied, and my husband is a wonderful alchemist. He makes wonderful monoatomics. You can use the copper monoatomics is very, very good for keeping a youthful look. And we have Blood of the Pelican Alchemy products, monoatomics. We also have the kind that are made from morning dew and sea salt. Okay, now if you want to make like a rosary, you would get some copper to make the chain of the rosary with, and then get the opal to make the beads. And you can fashion these kind of talismans. You can make rings out of copper and opal, magical jewelry. You can make talismans, like magical talismans with the Hebrew letter Lamed on it. You can make a talisman, and you could put you can have stones of opal. You can use opal and inlays, and you can have copper and opal, and you can make a Lamed letter, And you can have LAMED on it and put other things there, and write justice and write your name and things like that. You can make wonderful types of talismans. And again, these things are all based on Kabbalah, and the Talmud is full of the formulas to do these kinds of things. Now, the Hebrew letter for Libra, again, LAMED. The tarot card for Libra, again, Libra the Scales, justice, and LAMED. Okay? Now, the biblical association. Let's get to the biblical association. Now, because Libra is an air sign, all the air signs are ruled over by the Archangel Raphael, who rules over the warm, moist winds of the east and earth coordinates. And no, excuse me, that's in celestial coordinates. Is it celestial coordinates? No, I was right the first time. Gabriel, when we're talking about, we'll just stick to earth coordinates for now. Earth coordinates, Raphael rules over the warm and moist winds of the east. Raphael, the Archangel Raphael. And Raphael is opposed in the west by Gabriel. Not opposed in a bad way, but they actually help each other all the time. Gabriel and Raphael both traverse between H.O.A.F, where Gabriel resides, and this is Yesod and H.O.A.F. Sorry, this is Yesod, the moon, and Gabriel, and H.O.A.F or Had is for Raphael and for logic, okay, and for Mercury, okay, Mercury. So some books will say that Gabriel is in one and Raphael's in the other one. There's a lot of books that will interchange. Even some will interchange with Tiferet. But so there's cooperation between these angels. But in the Rosicrucians, it taught me it was Gabriel in Yesod, the moon, the lunar aspect, and in Had or Hod, Mercury aspect, you have Raphael. Okay, so what we're saying is here that Raphael, the beautiful angel Raphael, okay, is an angel you can utilize if you want to deal with Libra. Also, again, you have Zuriel is the zodiac angel. Raphael is the elemental archangel of air, and Libra is cardinal air, so fire of air is Libra, okay? And Raphael rules over all the air signs, okay? All right, now the biblical associations for Libra correspond to the Hebrew tribe of Asher. So Libra corresponds to the Hebrew tribe of Asher, okay? And the Hebrew letter, as we said again, what is it? That's right, LAMED. Now, if you want to look this up in your Bible and you want to recite Bible verses to give your magic or your enchantment or your formulas a bigger boost, your blessings and that kind of thing, go to Genesis 49:20 for Asher, that's Libra. Genesis 49:20 for Asher, and that's a blessing of Jacob to his 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. And also, if you want to deal with the letter LAMED, and you get a Bible verse that you want to read for your blessings, you can go to Psalm 119, and you can go to verses 89 to 96. Now, in most Bibles, it will have the Hebrew letter above each portion, and the section that you're supposed to read. It has all the Hebrew letters, and you just find the Hebrew letter you're interested in, and you read that, and that gives you another form of blessing. So specifically, some Bibles don't have that Hebrew letter above the verses, so just in case it doesn't have it, it says Psalm 119, verses 89 to 96, okay? Now, and if it does have it, look for LAMED. Look for LAMED. The serpent ready to strike. Very powerful image indeed. Now, we also want to talk about some Venusian correspondences. Correspondences for Venus. For Venus, Aphrodite. Venus because Libra is ruled by Venus. Okay? And Venus rules over Taurus and Libra. And in the daytime, Venus rules over Libra, and in the nighttime, Venus rules over Taurus. Okay? And because Libra is an air sign, which is masculine, daytime, the sun, and Taurus is an earth sign, which is female, which is the night and the moon. Okay? In the system, Rosicrucian system that I was taught. Now, the Hebrew letter associated with the planet Venus, so for the planet Venus, now we're talking about the planet Venus, which rules Libra. We're not talking about just Libra. We're talking about the planet that rules Libra in the day, Venus. Also, again, found in Netzach, Aphrodite, victory. Okay, now, Daleth. And this is Daleth, the Hebrew letter Daleth. And it means door. The Hebrew letter Daleth is the door, the doorway, door. And the tarot card that corresponds to Daleth is the Empress card. The Empress card. The Empress card corresponds to, okay, Daleth. It's the Empress card. She sits on her throne. And she's got the cornucopia, and she gives. She's a doorway, she gives. The beautiful Empress. Now, the biblical association for Venus, corresponding to the Hebrew letter of Daleth, okay, is Psalm 119, and that's verses 25 to 32. Psalm 119, verses 25 to 32. It's the fourth Hebrew letter down, Daleth. It will say Daleth or Dalet in most Bibles, and that will be verses 25 to 32. So you can read that, and you can. What does it do when you add all these things together, all the angels and all these various correspondences? What does it do when you pick all those pictures and add them together, and you put them around you when you're doing your blessings or your magic ritual or your enchantment? What does that do? It evokes more and more specific and powerful, and you have your copper and opal rosary with the opal beads, and the copper chain, or you have your talisman or your magical jewelry or your necklace, and you evoke the energies. You evoke the energies if that's one you're trying to evoke. All right? Now, the magical talisman for power or protection should be completed. If you're going to create something, like if you're one of those people that like to make rosary beads, or if you're one of those people that likes to make amulets and sell amulets, the talisman for power or protection should be completed 1 or 2 days before any particular astrology event takes effect. Now, understand that you don't have to be someone who's capable of making rosaries and talismans, although that's a wonderful talent. You can be someone who just gathers all of these wonderful letters and pictures together, and your tarot cards, okay? You can gather all these things together, and you can just surround yourself and get some Libra and Mercury incense, and you can use your pictures of the letters, and you can write it on something. I used one for a while, and I have the kit still. My husband made it for me. It's like he made a stylus for me and got me thin sheets of metal where I would engrave these things in the metal, and you can do wonderful kinds of magics in that kind of way. That was very popular in Rome, ancient Roman times. Very popular. And you can get your Raphael angel, or you can get if you're someone who wants to use angels, use angels. If you're someone that likes to use the gods, the Roman gods, you use Jupiter, we use Aphrodite for Venus, of course, and you would use for Libra, or Venus or Aphrodite, but I'm just saying that you can use the Roman gods or the Greek gods. So I'm just saying you can utilize what you want to use for that, because if we're talking about Netzach, we're going to be using Venus and Aphrodite for the god form, Okay? All right. Now, some sorceresses, some enchantresses, and some sorcerers or enchanters complete talismans for astrology magic 1 or 2 weeks ahead of time for the purpose of imprinting relevant images upon the subconscious mind of predetermined audiences. Okay, so it's more than a sales technique. It is a powerful magical projective magic ritual. If you're trying to do something to yourself, you do it when the moon is waning. If you want to project to someone else, you do it when the moon is growing and waxing. Same with the sun, when the sun's waxing or waning, if you really want to seal it in. So, you know, when other astrological factors are taken into account, this could be done months or years in advance, okay, of the desired outcome, working through Cabalistic worlds. And the 4 Cabalistic worlds that are worked through are, and world in Hebrew is Olam, and the Cabalistic worlds are Absolute, this is Hebrew, Absolute, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asaya, with this being, Asaya being the lowest world. Now, these spiritual, that's all Hebrew. Now, these spiritual realms are respectively the worlds of emanation, Absolute, creation, Bria, and formation, Yetzirah. You've heard of the Sefer Yetzirah, that's the book of creation in English, Sefer Yetzirah in Hebrew, and Asaya, action. Asaya is action. And this is where you have the physical world. You know, they say that Keter gives and Malkuth receives, male and female. Nevertheless, there are worlds beneath that feed from Malkuth. There are lower spiritual beings that feed from physical people's energy, okay? So there are worlds, and another thing is that the worlds are stacked on top of each other, and they're three-dimensional. And Malkuth is in Keter, and Keter is in Malkuth because one's on top of the other. So the tree above this one would have its Malkuth here, and the Keter of the tree below it would be here. So if you're talking about the Klipot and the worlds of hell, and you would have 7 hells beneath there with the top world being here. And we won't get into the Klipot right now, but you understand what we're saying if you know about the upper worlds and then the Klipot. So you understand. Now, the information found in the document that's attached and also presented in this video is based on the oral tradition known as Kabbalah, taught to me by Rosicrucian clergy when I was but a young girl, the facts of which I have committed to memory. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next time.